Have you ever felt like your life was a train that just derailed? Like everything you knew, everything you built, was suddenly scattered across the tracks in a million pieces? Honestly, it's a terrifying place to be. I'm Sam, and today we're talking about that exact moment. But more importantly, we're talking about what happens after the crash. How do you actually start breathing again when the air is thick with the dust of your own wreckage? We're diving into a really special work today by Victoria Jones called Breathing Through the Wreckage. It's this beautiful raw hybrid of memoir and poetry that chronicles a journey from trauma and chronic illness towards something like peace. Now here's the thing. Victoria's story isn't just a feel-good transformation. It's gritty. It starts in a loving childhood, but quickly moves into the shadows, depression, addiction, and some really heavy trauma. She talks about sexual violence, betrayal, and the kind of chronic illness that makes your own body feel like a stranger. Have you ever felt that way? Like your body is a house you're living in, but the locks have been changed. It's a lot to carry, right? But Victoria does something incredible. She doesn't just tell us what happened. She uses poetry to let us feel it. She calls it enlightened derailment. Isn't that a striking phrase? It's the idea that the very thing that breaks us might also be the thing that finally opens us up. It's like, okay, imagine a seed. For it to grow, the shell has to literally crack open. It looks like destruction, but it's actually the beginning of life. In the book, she uses these poetry interludes to deepen the narrative. One moment you're reading about her struggle with an invisible illness, and the next, a poem like The Wounded Army pulls you right into the emotional center of that pain. I mean, think about the term invisible illness. It's such a lonely experience, isn't it? You're fighting a war every single day, but to the outside world, you look fine. But inside, there's a wounded army. Victoria's work reminds us that we aren't alone in that struggle. She creates this community of empathy. She's basically saying, hey, I'm in the wreckage too, and here is how I'm learning to breathe. So how did she do it? This is where it gets really practical for all of us. She leaned heavily into Buddhist mindfulness and philosophy. And wait, before you think that sounds too abstract, let me explain how she applies it. It wasn't about escaping the pain. It was about presence. It was about sitting in the middle of the wreckage, not trying to fix it immediately, not running away from it, but just being there. Accepting that the train has derailed. There's a real power in that acceptance. When we stop fighting the reality of our situation, we stop leaking all that energy into resistance. We can finally use that energy to actually heal. It's a shift from, why is this happening? To, okay, this is happening. Now what? Let's try a little try this moment right now. Wherever you are, just take a second to acknowledge one thing in your life right now that feels messy. Don't try to solve it. Just look at it and say, okay, that's there. How does that feel? A little lighter, maybe? Victoria shows us that self-compassion isn't a luxury. It's a survival tool. It's the oxygen we need when we're trapped under the weight of our own history. What I love about the hybrid format of her book, the mix of prose and verse, is that it mirrors how healing actually works. It's not a straight line, right? Some days are prose, logical, narrative, just getting through the day. But other days are poetry. They are emotional, abstract, and full of metaphors that we can't quite explain. Healing is messy. It's a multi-dimensional experience, and Victoria captures that perfectly. She uses metaphors like comparing the body to a silent war. That hits home for so many people dealing with mental health struggles or autoimmune issues. It's the feeling of being betrayed by the one thing you're supposed to rely on. But through her writing, she transforms that pain into a shared experience. She's not just a victim of her story. She's the architect of her healing. And that's a role we can all step into, no matter what we've been through. Honestly, in a world where we're often told to just stay positive or push through it, Victoria's vulnerability is like a breath of fresh air. She doesn't give us easy answers because there aren't any. She gives us something better: truth. She offers hope that is real and lived. It's the kind of hope that has scars on it. And isn't that the only kind of hope worth having? The kind that has actually survived the fire? If you're a survivor, a caregiver, or just someone who feels a bit lost in the fog right now, I really want you to hear this. Your story isn't over just because it took a turn you didn't expect. The wreckage isn't the end of the road. It might actually be the place where you find your most authentic self. The self that doesn't need to be perfect to be worthy. The self that knows how to breathe even when the air is thin. So here is your call to action for today. I want you to find one small way to be creative with your pain. Maybe it's writing a single sentence about how you feel, or drawing a shape that represents your mood. Just like Victoria used poetry to process her trauma, you can use a small creative act to bridge the gap between hurting and healing. It doesn't have to be a masterpiece. It just has to be yours. Remember, mindfulness isn't about clearing your mind. It's about opening your heart to whatever is already there, even the wreckage, especially the wreckage. Because that's where the growth happens. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. Victoria Jones has given us a beautiful roadmap in breathing through the wreckage, and I hope her journey inspires you to look at your own challenges with a bit more compassion. Before I go, I just want to leave you with this thought. You are stronger than the things that broke you. You are the one who is still here, still breathing, still moving forward. And that is enough. Until next time, take a deep breath, stay present, and remember that even in the middle of the wreckage, there is a way through. I'm Sam, and I'll talk to you soon.